Everyday English Podcast
by English Talking Today.
I was at a family dinner last week, right? And my cousin, she's really smart. She works in tech. But every time I tried to talk to her, it was like hitting a wall.
Oh, no. What do you mean, a wall?
Like, I would ask her something, and she would just say, yeah, or okay, or fine. That's it. Nothing more.
I know exactly what you're talking about. One-word answers. It's the worst feeling.
Right. And the thing is, I don't think she was being rude. She just didn't know how to keep the conversation going. And I kept trying, you know? I kept throwing out questions, little jokes, stories, but nothing worked.
It's like you're playing catch, and the other person just lets the ball drop every time.
Yes, exactly like that. And after a while, you just feel so tired. Like, why am I the only one working here?
And the sad part is, I think a lot of people feel the same way, but from the other side. They want to connect, they want to talk, but they just freeze up. They don't know what to say next.
Totally. And that's actually why we wanted to do today's episode. Because keeping a conversation going, it sounds so simple, right? But for so many people, it's genuinely hard.
Especially if English is not your first language. You're already thinking about grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and now you also have to think about what to say next. That's a lot.
It really is. So today, we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about why conversations die, and more importantly, how to keep them alive.
And we're going to give you real, practical strategies that you can use starting today. Not tomorrow, today.
Okay, so let's start with the big question. David, why do you think conversations die? Like, what actually goes wrong?
Okay, so there are a few reasons, but I think the number one reason is something I call the overthinking trap.
Ooh, okay, tell me more.
So imagine you're talking to someone. They say something, and now it's your turn to respond. But instead of just responding, your brain starts doing this big analysis. Like, is this interesting enough? Will they think I'm boring? What if I say something wrong?
Oh my gosh, yes, I felt that before.
Right? And by the time your brain finishes all that analysis, the moment is gone. The conversation just dies. And you're standing there feeling awkward.
So the thinking itself becomes the problem.
Exactly. And there's actually a word for this feeling. Self-conscious. Selfconscious. Self-conscious.
Self-conscious. So what does that mean for listeners who might not know?
Self-conscious means you are too aware of how other people see you. You're watching yourself from outside, like you're in a movie and you're the main character, but you're also the critic giving bad reviews at the same time.
That's such a good description. You're acting and judging yourself at the same time.
Yes, and when you're self-conscious, every little thing feels huge. Did I pause too long? Did my voice sound weird? Are they bored? And all of that thinking creates what we call a bottleneck.
Bottleneck. Bottleneck. So for listeners, a bottleneck is when something gets blocked or slowed down, like traffic on a road. Everything builds up and nothing moves.
Perfect example. And that's exactly what happens in your head. All your thoughts are trying to come out, but the self-criticism is blocking the road, so nothing comes out naturally.
And the result is those short, stiff answers. Like my cousin at dinner. She wasn't rude. She was probably just stuck in her own head.
Probably. And there's another reason conversations die, which is related but a little different. Social anxiety.
Oh yes, that's a big one.
Social anxiety is when you feel nervous or afraid in social situations. Talking to new people, being at a party, meeting colleagues, it makes some people really, really stressed.
And when you're stressed, your brain kind of shuts down, right? Like a phone with too many apps open, it just crashes.
Yes, great analogy. And when that happens, people speak in a very rigid way.
Rigid. R-I-G-I-D. Say it with us, listeners. Rigid. It means stiff, not flexible, like a wooden board. So if you speak in a rigid way, your answers are short, flat, and they don't leave any room for the conversation to grow.
Exactly. And here's the irony. People who speak in a rigid way are usually afraid of being boring. But by saying almost nothing, they actually make the conversation feel dull and monotonous.
Monotonous. Monotonous. Monotonous means the same all the time. No changes, no energy. Like if you listen to the same song on repeat for 3 hours.
Which honestly, sometimes I do with a good song, but that's different.
Okay, that's fair. But in conversation, monotonous is not a good thing. You want energy. You want movement.
Right. And the third reason, and this one is maybe the most common, is simply not listening.
Say more.
So some people aren't really listening to what the other person is saying. They're either thinking about what they want to say next, or their mind is somewhere else completely. And so when it's their turn to speak, they have nothing. They missed all the good stuff.
It's like playing tennis, but not watching the ball.
Perfect. By the time the ball gets to you, you're not ready, and the conversation just falls apart.
Okay, so we've got 3 reasons: overthinking, social anxiety, and not listening. And honestly, I think most people have felt all 3 of these at some point.
Definitely. I know I have.
Me too. So now let's talk about the good stuff. How do we fix this? What do we actually do?
Okay, so the first strategy is what I call remove your filter.
Remove your filter. I love that. So the filter is that voice in your head that says, don't say that. That's boring. That's weird. That's wrong. And the filter is trying to help you, but actually it's hurting you because it stops you from speaking naturally.
Exactly. Think about young children. When a little kid wants to say something, they just say it. They don't stop and think, is this impressive? Will my friend like this? They just talk. And that's why talking to children is so easy and fun. They have this beautiful spontaneity.
Spontaneity. Spontaneity. Spontaneity means doing something naturally, without planning or overthinking. It's fresh, it's real, it's in the moment.
And adults lose that. We get so worried about being judged that we stop being spontaneous. We stop being real.
So the fix is stop trying to be perfect. Just talk.
Yes. And here's something that really helped me. Most people are not judging you as much as you think. They are too busy thinking about themselves, how they look, how they sound, what they should say next.
That's so true. Everyone is in their own little world, worried about the same things.
So the moment you realize that, it gets easier. You feel more at ease. At ease means relaxed, comfortable, not nervous.
So for practice, start in low-pressure situations. Talk to a friend, a coworker, someone you already feel comfortable with. And instead of pausing to think about the perfect thing to say, just say what comes naturally. And one little trick, use phrases like, I was just thinking about, or, oh, that reminds me of. These little phrases buy you a second of time, but they also keep you talking. They train your brain to keep moving forward instead of stopping. I actually use those all the time, and I didn't even realize it until now.
Right? It's a natural thing, but if you do it on purpose, it becomes a real skill.
Okay, what's the second strategy?
Okay, this one is really interesting. It's called the Pratfall Effect.
Ooh, Pratfall. Pratfall. What does that mean?
So a pratfall is when someone falls or makes a silly mistake. And the Pratfall Effect is a psychology idea. It says that when people make small mistakes, other people actually like them more.
Wait, really? So making mistakes is a good thing?
In social situations, yes, because mistakes make you seem authentic.
Authentic. Authentic. Authentic means real, genuine, true. Not fake, not performing, just yourself.
And when you seem authentic, people feel comfortable around you. They can connect with you. But when someone is too perfect, never misspeaks, always says the right thing, It feels almost robotic. You respect them, but you don't feel warm toward them.
It's like the difference between a celebrity on a red carpet and a friend making you laugh at dinner. The friend feels more real.
Yes, exactly. And think about great comedians. Some of the funniest people on stage, they trip over their words, they laugh at their own jokes, they say, "Wait, what was I saying?" And the audience loves them even more for it.
Because it makes them relatable.
Relatable. RELATABLE. Relatable means easy to connect with, something you understand from your own experience. When someone is relatable, you think, "Oh, that's me too."
And this is so important for English learners, right? Because I know so many people, students, professionals, who are terrified of making grammar mistakes in English.
Yes, they think if they say something wrong, people will judge them or laugh at them. But actually, the opposite is true. Native English speakers admire people who try to communicate even when it's not perfect. It shows courage.
That's such a good point. When I was learning a second language, and I'm not going to say which one, I used to be so worried about every single word. But the moment I stopped worrying and just spoke, everything changed. My confidence went up, the conversations got better.
It's the same for everyone. Perfection is the enemy of connection. So the takeaway, make mistakes, own them, laugh at them, move on.
I love that. Perfection is the enemy of connection. Someone write that down.
Okay, and now the third strategy, and this one is my absolute favorite. It's called threading.
Threading. Okay, I think our listeners are going to love this one.
So, threading is when you take something from what the other person says, like a little thread, and you pull on it to keep the conversation going. Instead of letting the topic die, you find something interesting in what they said and you build on it.
It's like finding a door and opening it instead of walking past it.
Oh, I like that, yes. And here's the thing. In almost every sentence someone says, there are multiple threads you can pull. You just have to listen for them. So give us an example. Okay, imagine someone says, "I visited Japan last summer." Now, if you're not really listening, you might just say, "Oh, cool," and then silence. The conversation stalls.
Stalls. S-T-A-L-L-S. Stalls means stops or slows down. Like a car engine that stalls, it just cuts off.
Right, but if you're threading, you hear Japan last summer, and you see immediately so many directions you can go. You could say, "Oh, what was your favorite part?" That gets them to share their experience. Or you could say, "Did you try any interesting food there?" Now you're talking about food. Or even, "I've always wanted to go. What surprised you the most?" Now you're sharing your own feelings too. The conversation becomes mutual.
Mutual. M-U-T-U-A-L. Mutual means shared by both people. A mutual conversation means both people are giving and receiving, not just one person talking and the other one nodding.
Exactly. And threading is what makes a conversation feel mutual, because you're showing that you heard them, you're curious about them, and you want to know more.
I tried this recently, actually. I was talking to someone at a workshop, I think it was in Delhi, a colleague from our team there, and she mentioned she had started learning to paint.
Oh, nice.
And I know nothing about painting. But instead of just saying, "Oh, interesting," I asked, "What made you want to start?" And she talked for like 10 minutes. And it was genuinely fascinating.
That's the magic of threading. You don't need to be an expert in what the other person is talking about. You just need to be curious.
Curious and genuinely interested. And if you are, the questions come naturally.
And here's something beautiful. The more you practice threading, the more intuitive it becomes.
Intuitive. I-N-T-U-I-T-I-V-E. Intuitive means something that feels natural, easy, like you don't have to think about it. Like how you know to stop at a red light. You don't think about it, you just do it.
And conversation threading becomes like that. After a while, you automatically look for the threads. You hear something and your brain thinks, "Oh, I can go there or there or there."
And you never run out of things to say.
Never. It completely changes conversations.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We talked about 3 reasons conversations die: overthinking, social anxiety, and not listening. and we talked about 3 strategies to fix it.
Strategy 1. Remove your filter. Stop overthinking. Speak more freely. You are not being judged as much as you think.
Strategy 2. Embrace the Pratfall Effect. Small mistakes make you more authentic and relatable. Stop chasing perfection. Be real. Strategy 3. Use threading. Listen carefully and find the threads in what people say. Ask open-ended questions. Stay curious. And all of these, all 3, they are skills, which means they get better with practice. So here is your challenge this week. In your next conversation, pick one of these strategies and try it. Just one. See what happens.
And remember, you don't need to be fluent to have a good conversation. You just need to be present, curious, and willing to try. That is enough.
That is more than enough. Okay, before we go, if you enjoyed today's episode on English Talking Today, please subscribe. It really helps us reach more English learners around the world.
And if you have a friend who struggles with conversations in English or in any language, share this episode with them. It might be exactly what they need.
Leave us a comment or a review too. We read every single one, and it honestly means so much to us.
It really does. We do this for you. All of you listening right now, whether you're on the bus, at the gym, cooking dinner,
We see you.
we appreciate you. Keep practicing, keep trying, and we'll see you in the next episode of English Talking Today.
See you next time.